Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Smarketing Show. Our topic today is Rick and Cheryl's top FAQs around lead generation. And Rick, you don't look like you're actually in the same office as you normally are this week.
No, I thought I'd start where my roots began when I started with Xerox in 1989 at a phone booth here. And I'll tell you, when it comes to lead gen, things have changed, haven't they? And the cobwebs in here I checked out this morning, in addition to everything being unplugged in the phone booth. You know, the phone book, Cheryl, used to be our early form as a sales rep when it came to lead gen, our Google at the time. And we could look businesses up, you know, by vertical. Of course, the ones that start with an A got a lot more leads than the ones that start with an N or W. So anyway, things have changed.
So we're going to go through our top questions that we get asked from our clients and customers when it comes to lead generation specifically. So why don't you go with your first question?
Okay, so people always ask, like, when's the best time of year for lead generation? I think one of the things people need to understand is what is their customer's fiscal period? So here's a stat for you. 80% of small to medium-sized businesses have their fiscal year-end period end on December 31st. What that means is between now and the end of the year, it's buying season. So it's the perfect time to be thinking about prospecting and lead generation. And I think since this pandemic hit, you know, we've got to think about how our activity shift needs to happen and how we can scale ourselves to get into more opportunities to be top of mind and point to need. And what I see happening, Cheryl, candidly, is a lot of sales reps say, hey, I understand I got to get more active on LinkedIn. I got to do more email, more phone if I can get the people. Yet I would challenge people to look at the content they're sharing, be it as an individual or company, and really be honest and say, okay, is that educational or is that promotional? Because you and I have looked at so many companies' communication, you know, what they say. And I think, like, we fast forward through the commercials on movies we recorded, customers doing the same thing, which completely does nothing for lead generation.
Yeah, that's a good point. I would say, you know, my most frequently asked question around lead generation is very generic, but it's what's the best way to get more leads? And there's lots of different things. I would say if I had to suggest 3 things that you should be including in your digital marketing mix in order to focus on lead generation, the first thing would be content offers with form fills. So what kind of knowledge-based information can you offer your clients to help them solve a problem that they already have, but give it to them for free? And then, of course, you want to access their contact information so that you can follow up, not just because you want to push your product or service, but because you want to find out if that content was in fact helpful and was it relevant. Second would be interactive webinars or live virtual events. That's a really great way to interact with your prospects and to actually give them some kind of added value to your brand and give them, again, the answers to the questions that they're asking. And third would be email campaigns with potentially signups for an assessment. So we understand that you're having this problem. We understand that you're already communicating with us because you're getting our email. How can we take it to the next level, and what can we do to help solve the exact problem that you're having right now? Let us know. So very knowledge-based. You're trying to help solve problems essentially, but then of course you're also getting leads at the same time.
So let me just clarify. You actually do have people ask you how to generate leads?
All the time.
Okay,
it's not just about brand awareness.
Okay. Here's Rick's layman definition, okay? I call what Cheryl's talking about, these content offers, mouse traps, okay? Yeah. On a website. Think of a mouse scurrying around your website, a visitor, and you've got to have these little content offers, mouse traps. You know, Cheryl, I saw a website yesterday I looked at, and the content offer was, you know, top such and such from 2019. And I think people think 2019 now is like 2001.
So long ago, yeah.
What's happening. So just, you know, make sure that the cheese isn't stale in the trap. Okay, here's the question I get all the time. So when I'm prospecting, who should I be targeting in terms of, you know, lead generation? And let me go to the answer here. I think you'll understand. I believe too many salespeople, when they're doing outbound activities, go after the traditional contact, which might be a mid-level manager. Maybe it's a finance leader, a technology leader, sustainability leader. And I think if you're targeting SMB especially, if not enterprise, you gotta call high, okay? So a lot of our clients, Cheryl, say, hey, we need to get new business revenue because, you know, COVID's affected our current revenue streams. So think about, before you make the next outbound prospecting call, we'll call it, or email, whatever, who would your competitor least like you to contact in their account? Because I can tell you personally, even though our company has 15 employees, if someone calls, let's call it a mid-level person in the company, they may be a little timid to say, hey, Rick, I think we should look at this because of whatever reason they perceive. But if someone comes to me, I mean, Cheryl, you know how often I'm like, hey, let's jump on this webinar. Let's look at this. Let's look at that. And so I think the business owner, if you can get there, is the spot to start, undisputed. And I don't think enough people do it. We know about it, but do we do it? Only you know as a viewer.
No, that's a good point. So direct all your calls direct to Rick directly, right?
Did I just say that?
So the second most common question around lead generation that I get is, how does content marketing and social media marketing help with lead generation? And this is a really good question. So first of all, specifically with content marketing, it makes your leads aware of your brand. They know who you are. It also provides your customer with very, very well articulated and very informative knowledge-based content about your company, B, your product and your service. And it also allows, like, for example, from a blog post, for you to become that subject matter expert when it comes to talking about any kind of industry trends that are related to your industry. Now, when it comes to social media, what you want to do to promote lead gen with your content is to generate original content, creative. You want it to be branded to your business. You would ideally like it to include your employees. People will feel that connection. And then you want to make sure that all of your social posts link to a website or a landing page, I should say, on your website. So it is a little bit of a brand awareness piece, but it does help with lead generation because it lets people know that you're there, you're active, and that you care about the problems that your customers or prospects potentially have.
And, you know, Cheryl, as we talk to so many companies right now that candidly are saying, okay, I realize I got to digitally transform my sales and marketing efforts. Mm-hmm. This whole concept of being top of mind at point of need couldn't be more relevant. And, mm-hmm. you know, our tagline, at least one of them at Into Communications, is the next generation of lead generation. And we believe that because of the digital scale for digital technology. Okay, here's another question. Rick, we're ramping up, you know, our sales activities as people get back into the office. Do you have any suggestions on activity mix for lead generation? Okay, so here's my answer. Okay, to come back to old school concepts, activities drive results, okay? And I don't know if anyone can refute that. I would also say that quality activities drive better results, okay? And often I use the analogy of, you know, you can have a bald tire on ice up here in Canada. It'll spin 1,000 times, but won't move you anywhere. But there's a reason we put snow tires and chains on our tires, so we get better traction with each activity. So I'll give you an activity mix here if people are watching. And this is a B2B activity mix, by the way, not a B2C, obviously. I'm going to suggest that you think in terms of 10 engagements a day with a customer that may be a prospect. Okay, what I mean is you're going to get an email back from them. They're going to receive a phone call, 10 a day, 200 touches or engagements a month. That's not meaning you sent something up, but you actually got a live response or something back. And I go back to earlier, I mentioned you got to be educational, not promotional here. But here's the simple metric inside that 200 touches. We highly recommend in our LinkedIn bootcamp 3 to 5 posts per week at the individual level, right? And you and I know, Cheryl, people aren't sharing enough of their company's content. And hey, as a sales rep, I respect totally if you don't think it's good enough or it's aligned with what you're doing. But somehow you got to get out there and do 3 to 5 a week and target to connect with 30 net new contacts every week as well. And again, so the more people that are aware of what you're doing with your digital scale, your activities, I think you're going to be a better spot to be top of mind at point of need. So 200 touches a month, obviously live, you know, industry events and all have been taken away. And so we're seeing more and more people amp up big time on digital activities, sales activities being a big part of the mix.
Yeah. There's a little bit of a theme in all of the FAQs that we're talking about, and that is, like, we both are kind of pushing, well, not kind of, we are pushing the fact that you need to be informative with your content and you need to provide content that's knowledge-based. So the last question, we'll each do 3. The last question that I get on a regular basis when it comes to lead gen and digital marketing specifically is, how important is my website when it comes to lead generation? And I would say your website is your absolute most important priority when it comes to lead generation. So people will judge you, and we've had these conversations, Rick, where people judge you based on your website. They look at your website and they say, are these guys a legit company? Are they a big company? Do they care enough about their site to invest time in making it first of all, a great user experience for me as the prospect, but also, does it look good? Does it reflect the service and the product that they sell? So that's why it's so important. Your website should have a lot of dynamic content to it. It should be as interactive as possible. When I say interactive, I mean, you know, is it easy for people to look at your site and get an understanding of the people that work there, or the people that started the company, or the people that run the company? So videos are a fantastic way to do that. Is there a feature for you to interact live with somebody at the organization, whether that be a chat feature or a community sort of group where people can interact and ask questions and get answers relatively quickly as opposed to email? Is there a pop-up that directs people to something that might be a content offer or might be something free and might help them answer their questions? There's all kinds of ways that you can provide knowledge-based content, and we already know that this is really important when it comes to getting ranked on search engines, but blogs especially are so important. People, you know, might come across your website because of a blog based on the content, or maybe, you know, you've given them an answer to the question that they were looking for that day. So the website is and always should be your number one focus when it comes to lead gen and when it comes to your digital marketing mix.
So Cheryl, I think somebody asked me earlier why I'm here at the phone booth. I told them I'm waiting for a phone call, and I think we may be waiting a long time if we're waiting for the customer to phone us these days.
True.
So I think, you know, before COVID, digital we knew was important. And as you watch today, please understand I'm a traditional door knocker, grew up carrying a bag, you know, 2 to 3 pairs of dress shoes a year guy, okay? And I think what we're talking about today is how do you tip the table in your favor so more people come your way, and it happens at the individual level, okay, and at the company level. I mean, lead gen's got to be a very big priority. And again, that's why I mentioned fiscal year end, December 31st for 80% of small and medium-sized businesses. Call high. I'm telling you right now, Cheryl, my experience, it's buying season right now, and we got to get in the window.
Absolutely is. And remember, lead generation is always and should always be one of your main business objectives, and other things fall under that to help you achieve that goal, such as consideration and brand awareness as an example. Is that phone booth even plugged in? If I wanted to make a phone call right now, would it actually work? Or is it just decoration?
You
it's
could
a decoration.
call me here, but there's a reason there's cobwebs beside me and why I'm not in, you know, yeah.
So it's not working. All right. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody for watching today. Of course, you can email us anytime. Contact us through our website. Our email address is engage@intocommunications.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Thank you so much, Rick. Love your background. Way better than mine today.
Think digital, the next generation of lead generation, okay? Things have changed. I could be waiting here a while. I used to dial this thing, Cheryl. I used to literally prospect on one of these things until I ran out of change. I know that's hard for you to believe, but now's the time, folks. And I think in the end, you got to figure out what you want to do and just make a commitment to the commitment.
Absolutely. We'll see you next week, everybody.